Smith and some carnivores.
Yes, well, there we go. We didn't get the best view of the banded mongoose early on today. I just do absolutely adore them. And there we go, making lots of noise. Now, the one that we had while I was growing up, his name was Lord Montague, the mongoose. Now, you can see they are very, very busy foragers. Now, Steph said we were with a couple of carnivores, and that is the smaller carnivore species. We've also managed to spot some very lazy lions. There we go, it looks like there's a third lioness. There we goes up. There we go, there she is, walking, and there she goes. Now, I hadn't seen her yet. I only saw the two lazy ones lying closest to us. Now, I wonder if there's any males about. She doesn't look too hungry. Anyway, let's get a bit closer to her. Now, I might have to dash at the last second. I'm keeping a very close eye out on the rain. So, Steph's sitting up there, and he's completely covered in rain, and I'm just hoping that I've sort of been skirting around the edges and hoping to avoid it. Yes, and thank you for Steph for sending the question our way. Frank would like to know, what fish species might you get in the Mara River? Now, I am a lover of all things fishy and fishing. Now, the most dominant species in the Mara River will be the sharp-toothed catfish, Clarinus. How are you doing? Not too bad, not too shabby. You know there's a lion over there. Don't worry, you're too big and you're in must. Now, he's in must, so heightened hormonal state. And they can be a little bit naughty when they're in must. Can't you, mister? Are you going to get cheeky? You don't want to get cheeky with me. I'll sort you out. Yes, I will. Hello, big boy. What you want? Don't be silly. I will give you a hiding. Don't misbehave. Now, it's very important, as I say, in reading elephant body language. So if I were to move the car now, it would actually cause him to chase us. So that's why I'm keeping still. I've had a few words with him. I haven't got upset with him yet. I haven't had to use my stern voice that I use on certain elephants when they misbehave. So he's just being a little bit curious. He's now stopped to start eating. So I'm going to start the car now. And I said, let it run for a few seconds. You always do that. Animal gets used to the noise. To you too, mister. Hey, no more problems. Are we good? Yes, we are. Good boy. He listens, that one. Making sure he still listens. He does. We are unfortunately going to have to change our plans, I fear. We can give you another last look at that lioness, but I'm going to have to turn around and make a run. I thought I was going to be able to avoid all the rain, but unfortunately I haven't. But there she is. Or maybe we can last a little bit longer. Where are you off to, madam? Oh, dearie, dearie me. Okay, I'm going to have to turn around. And I'm going to have to do some running from the rain. Otherwise, Jandre and I might get shocked. But while we do that, we're going to run across to the dry side of the river today, back to Scott with those beautiful boys.
Well, it seems like our luck is increasing. Excuse me, these boys are up in the move and in the direction that we can quite easily follow them. I was concerned that they were going to cross a riverbed which would have made our lives a little bit tricky. So that's the good news. I'm about to get you guys into a great spot to have them walking straight down the barrel towards us. Almost there. Here we go. Perfect. And it seems like Brent is still running from the rain. Let's hope his luck continues, because it will not be fun if he gets caught out. We've done quite a few modifications to the vehicle, so our rain protection is somewhat sieve-like, which is a bit of a concern when it's raining. But happy to hear that he did at least get you a glimpse of some lions. And it's turning out to be a wonderful sunset safari. You can see the green belt of vegetation. That is the riverbed that I was concerned that they were going to cross. Hello, Paul. You would like to know if cheetah like to wait by the water's edge in order to ambush their prey, similar to what lions do. And not hugely that I know of, and to be honest, even lions a lot of the time will simply have just finished drinking at a waterhole and then have decided to sleep there, more than actually knowing that they're going to get easy meals there. That's my opinion, of course. I'm a believer that the predators get given too much credit for their planning and strategizing. I believe it's more kind of luck of the draw. But yes, they could well end up being close to a water point when prey come down and ambush them. But something that's always surprised me about predators, including lions, is that if they were all to sleep just 50 meters apart, as opposed to in a big clump, and that's especially the case with lion, who don't have to worry about safety as much as cheetah do, immediately they would be sleeping in a kind of hunting formation, so if anything did stumble upon them, they'd all be spread out. But they never do that, which is testament to my theory that they are not as sprite as everyone makes them out to be. They're just very fast with sharp claws and a lust for meat, and that's what causes them to latch on to prey from time to time. Isn't this scene an absolutely beautiful one? Golden afternoon sunlight, 5 male cheetahs all in their prime. Cordelia, you would like to know if cheetah have got any risk of being consumed by other big cats. Yes, they certainly do. They will be killed by leopard as well as lion. It's a bit more of a task for a leopard to take down a cheetah, and it'll mainly be the male leopard that kill cheetah, not likely female leopards. And what they have been known to do is actually hoist cheetah up into a tree, having stolen the cheetah's killed the cheetah and put both of them up a tree. Not a pretty image. And certainly lion, if they get a hold of cheetah, will make short work of them. So let's hope that is something we never bear witness to, but it is certainly a reality out here. Marvelous. Now, before they head too far off into the distance, I think it would be a good opportunity for us to reposition and try and get some shots of them walking straight into the sun. They are heading west at the moment, slightly north-west, and who knows, maybe they will end up crossing this riverbed. We're going to have to cross it either way to get home. We've got a long drive to get home this evening. But that doesn't matter, because Dave and I are committed to these boys, and we're going to stay as long as possible, which is probably going to be about another half an hour before we need to rush off. Hello Roshni, you'd like to know what are the distinguishing features that can be used to distinguish between different cheetah. And it's their spot patterns. They are all different, just like the leopard, and basically you can look at any portion of a cheetah's body and get a map of its spots and then use that for your ID kit. And it's the same with leopard. You could choose a random spot on their bottom, and those patch of spots will be unique to that cheetah or leopard. what is more likely to do is to look on the face, and you see the spots that run down from the corner of their eyes at about a kind of like a 45-degree angle down away from their eye, down their cheek. We'll look at that one now. It's got distinctive spots there. And then if we look at another one, you'll notice clearly that the spots are quite different on each of the animal's faces. It's difficult now while they're moving, but those two next to one another, clearly different. The one at the back had far bigger spots with bigger spaces between them, whereas that one in the front had smaller spots, more dotted closely together. So, I mean, there's no set way, but that is one of the ways of going about it. There's quite a few other vehicles enjoying the sighting with us, which is wonderful, because if people don't come out here and spend money on being on safari, these places will not be looked after. So do not be alarmed by the people. Their presence is ensuring that this place gets looked after. And unlike us, who are very, very fortunate, these vehicles cannot off-road. One or two of them may take chances, as I probably would, but they will not go to the same level as we do. And that is one of the benefits of being on the Safari Live team. We've got special permission to go and do things that most other people cannot. Oh, well, there's not a surprise visitor joining, but James Henry has joined the fray in one way or another, so go off and see what he's up to.
I was going to try and take off Steph's accent because he's sitting right next to me doing his management work, and then I thought, no, his left bicep and left fist are probably slightly too large for me to be tangling with while I'm trying to narrate a crossing. Anyway, oops, just getting control of the cameras. Yes, it is I, James Henry speaking, not not Steph anymore. And oh, we are getting some horrible breakup there. Sorry about that. I must just tell you, this is precisely what happened yesterday. These wildebeest came herring down. There they all are. And they eventually crossed at this point over here. But they're not there at the moment. And much like yesterday, of course, we have got, well, roughly 4,500 punters looking on to see if the crossing is going to take place. And as Scott was saying, of course, they are such a crucial part of African ecotourism and conservation, and very nice to see, I tell you, although there are a lot of them, they're keeping well away and not disturbing the behavior of these animals in any way. So that's good to see. Nice practice going on there. Good. So that is the state of play here. I have seen, in my vast experience of crossings, which consists of 2 weeks last year and roughly 2 weeks this year, I have seen them come to this crossing point and do precisely this every single time. They come rushing along here, 2 or 3 go down, everyone in the final control jumps on the controls, everyone fights over the control in here, the joystick, everyone prepares to go live, batteries are charged, people are shouting at each other, there's screaming, wailing, gnashing of teeth, and 4 of them lie down precisely where they are now, and that is the end of that. So with any luck, what will happen is that they will eventually decide that it is a good idea to cross. But the darker it gets, the smaller the chances of them crossing are. It is unlikely that they will cross in the darkness, but it is likely that they will cross still today, I think. Now, Harris, you ask a very good question here, and you say, can we say that this migration of animals is one of the world, or is the world's biggest? Well, Harris, it just so happens that we played a game that we play, dun dun dun, one lie, and in that first 2 truths and dun dun dun, one lie, we gave 3 facts. One of was that the wildebeest migration is the largest migration of mammals in the world. Well, we started off sort of playing with that. And that was not true. That in the end, that wasn't the one we gave. But it isn't true. It's the largest hoofed mammal migration in the world. So it's the greatest number of hoofed mammals that move, 1.5 million of them, and 2 million if you include all the zebra and the Thompson's gazelles. The biggest mammal migration in the world, or the largest number of animals migrating, is a bat migration, I believe, that happens between Texas and somewhere else. I'm not sure exactly where. But that is the largest number of migrating mammals. The furthest migration, this is actually not a tremendously distant migration. The total distance they cover is probably not hugely much more than 250 miles or so, and sometimes less depending on how direct the routes they take are, and sometimes probably up to 300 if they, well, go hither and yon a bit more than they would normally. So that it's not that long. Much longer, of course, is the humpbacked whale. The humpbacked whale is the longest mammalian migration in the world. I can never remember the exact sort of distance, but I think it's 2,800 miles. I can check that up. 2,800 miles one way. So I think they do that each way every single year. So that's obviously more than 10, well, it's actually more than 20 times the distance that this bunch manage. So interestingly, excuse me, just got a piece of chocolate cake stuck in my throat that Jana brought for me. Jana, in case you're wondering, is Steph's lovely wife. And that's not really relevant to the wildebeest story, but I thought I would tell you anyway. Oh, I've lost my train of thought now. Right. Oh yes, humpbacked whales. Humpbacked whales, anyway, big distance. I'm going to find out exactly how far it is that they go and how many of them migrate. While I do that, let us go back to the 5 Musketeers with Scott Disson.
They should be popping in soon. All good? Sorry, there was some problem with our audio there, so apologies for that. But basically, these guys are still on the move, still heading west, and time will tell whether they decide to cross the Talek River. Now, they haven't been this far north for quite a few days. We're still getting to work out their territory, and it seems to be fluctuating quite a bit at the moment, according to the researchers. They're pressing further and further south into the reserve, whereas they've usually been spending time on the opposite side of this riverbed. That was the first place I ever saw them, on the opposite side, and they may want to go back and ensure that all their territorial boundary points have been well marked and that everything is in order. Now, they're not incredibly full-bellied, but they are well fed, so they could well chase something if they come across it, which would be absolutely wonderful, because to see the fastest mammal on the planet doing its business is quite a thing. Hello to John Michael. You would like to know if I've ever seen a king cheetah, and sadly, no, I haven't. And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, I can show you one very quickly. It made the front cover of my mammal book. So just a quick glimpse. And basically they're a melanistic form, so they're just a darker form, and their spots are kind of interconnected. Very, very pretty. They are quite common in captivity, because once you have the gene, you can breed it quite successfully. But in the wild, they are very, very rare. I guess they could be likened to white lions, which do occur in the wild, but very rarely. I think there's 2 or 3 in the entire Kruger National Park at the moment, and that is the main area that white lions are found. Yet in zoos and captivity, there are hundreds upon hundreds of white lions. So again, it's something easy that us as humans can intervene and help create, but not very common out in nature. And I'd be interested to know if there are any reports of king cheetah in the Mara. I haven't heard of any. What I find interesting with these guys, and the two that are on shot are good examples thereof, is that the bigger cheetah seem to have a bigger white tuft on the end of their tail, whereas the smaller cheetah in this coalition don't have as big as a white tuft. And I've noticed this individual that we're looking at here, plus the other male with the collar, have got the two biggest white patches on the end of their tail, whereas the three smaller ones have got less white. So I'm not sure if that's something that's going to develop with age or size, or if it's just a genetic difference. Hello, Lady Starfire. You would like to know how far will these animals move on an average day? Well, on one evening between sunset and 11 o'clock at night, they moved 8 kilometers as the crow flies, so probably a minimum of 10 kilometers because they don't walk in a dead straight line, which is 6 miles. And prior to that, they had walked about another 10 miles that day. So 15 miles in a day is not difficult for them to cover, but it will vary, you know, and it's the same with lions. They're not going to move set distances each day, anywhere from 0 miles if they're full, up to 5, 10, 15, 20, depending on what's going on, food, competition, other cheetahs who may be lurking in the area. Okay, well, it appears like we need to now loop ahead of them again. Wonderful. Okay, well, while we get into a better spot, we will be spending you to a better spot with James.
Indeed, everybody, better spot, I'm not sure. Look, not much going on there at all. I just decided I was going to have a little bit of a rest on the banks today. Oh, some of them going around to the south. Maybe they'll go all the way to Dusty Crossing. Maybe they've just decided, nah. But of course, that is the great drama of the wildebeest migration, is that it is as unpredictable as the weather, the economy, and indeed my mother's moods. I hope she's not watching. There you can see them moving away. Now, I mean, I know, don't lose hope. If you were hoping to see a crossing, many of you would probably be quite relieved so that you won't see the trauma of a crossing. But what they often do is turn around, do exactly that thing, and then one or two of them decide, no, hang on, we've spent all this time here, let's go back across. And that's what they do. But now they seem to be moving up onto the hill. Adele, you wonder if we will see other kinds of antelope cross. Of course, a wildebeest is an antelope. You say, do we ever see impala cross? No, I haven't seen impala cross. I think it's unlikely that they would. I suspect, quite without any form of scientific backing, that impala are actually quite intelligent. I've seen topi do it, so yes, other antelope do it. Gazelles, Thompsons, I haven't seen Grants do it. And certainly I think the eland do it from time to time. Yellow-billed stork just making his way off to better fishing grounds. And so, yeah, there are a number of different animals that will do it. And of course the zebra do it. But they ain't antelope, are they? Right, I think we should just have a look at the mountain cam if we can. Are we able to go to the mountain cam, Rebecca? Oh, again, you will notice that ladders are difficult to come by here in Kenya, and so we build our own, and someone is going to die on one of them fairly soon. That I have no doubt. There we have Mr. Bergfecht. Good morning, good afternoon, Mr. Bergfecht. There you are, and many of you were doing a bird list, or are keeping a Kenyan bird list, and I know somebody had a bird list of something like 50, which is quite impressive. And so I think you probably got Bergfecht, Weaver on it. And that was Lady Starfire. I suspect you have already got him because we've seen him sitting there the last few afternoons. Anyway, we had her, Mrs., in the tree earlier, and unfortunately she's now on the windowsill. But why shouldn't she be? There's a little bit of shelter there. All right, let's go back to the crossing. That is main crossing north. And there we are. Well done, Rebecca. Now you see they've stopped moving. One or two have turned around. And then he's still moving. Linda, you've asked a question about whether the big predators eat the drowned wildebeest and zebra. They would if they could get them away from the crocodiles. So certainly, as we've seen at Djuma many, many times, a lion has got the taste buds, well, of somebody who doesn't have taste buds. They are perfectly happy to eat the most rancid and foul meat in the world, hyenas likewise, and if they could get at, and I'm sure they do from time to time, rotting carcasses in the water, I've no doubt that they'd eat them very happily. So as you say, when darkness sets in, the crocodiles go onto the land. I think a crocodile's major sort of priority, being an ectotherm, is to keep its body temperature in a state that is most comfortable. And so I think you'll find that these crocs here are out of the water because it's a little chilly there. Of course, at night here, down on the valley floor there, it can drop to around about 13 degrees Celsius with a chilly wind chill. So put it down to, say, 8 or 9. And that, of course, sits at around, well, let's just say between 50 and 60 degrees Fahrenheit. It can go down that cold, and therefore the crocodile or any reptile is going to choose probably not to be in the water. They're going to choose to be out of the wind. So if it's warmer in the water, out of the wind, then that's where they'll be. Otherwise, they'll tuck themselves in behind one of these sort of grassy banks, if you like. Alrighty, we're going to leave these indecisive white-bearded gnu's and head across to Scott with his much more decisive band of brothers.
Oh, a little bit of playtime. I'm not sure what got them excited there. They all stopped and sniffed the ground simultaneously, and now they're rolling around in it. So something urinated or defecated there, and they are simply loving it. Sometimes predators will roll in the dung of their prey. I'm not sure why they do that. They sometimes even lick the dung of herbivores in order to get minerals and certain nutrients that I guess they lack in their diets. Sadly, there's a small ridge in the way, and we are parked very far ahead of them now in the knowledge that they are going to be making their way all the way to this tree, which I'm almost certain they will scent mark on. They're quite predictable animals, so we thought we'd get a nice, good head start and wait for them to come down to us. H. Macy, you would like to know if cheetah can climb trees as well as any of the other cats can. And no, they are not good climbers. Their claws, like a dog's, are always sticking out. So unlike a lion and a leopard that can protract their claws when they would like to latch onto something or climb a tree, the cheetahs do not have that. Their claws are always a little bit out, which is useful for when they are sprinting. They can climb up kind of trees with a 45-degree limb or small stumps, but it's not pretty, and they certainly cannot be considered good climbers, nor can lion really. Most lion are terrible climbers. Some may be slightly better than others. They just pop behind them. Well, we'll let those guests enjoy while we wait patiently, as we've been all day. We also thought we'd get up onto this little ridge to see if there was any possible prey, which there is. And I'm not certain that these 5 boys are going to be hugely enticed by Thompson's gazelle. I think that they know that they're difficult to catch, and then it's a small meal for the 5 boys to share. However, anything is possible. They did catch a little fawn the other night after dark, which was very interesting. So, in theory, cheetahs do hunt after dark, but it was more of an opportunistic hunt. They flushed a little fawn from its hiding place in the grass, and then they just pounced on it. We basically blinked and missed everything, but next thing we knew there was a young fawn in the cheetah's mouth. So they will take opportunities as they are presented with them, but I'm more inclined to believe that these guys know that wildebeest, especially now that they are quite numerous in these parts, are going to be the prey of choice. Hopefully they prove me wrong. What's interesting is that I haven't spent a lot of time in this area, but since I was here a few days ago, there have definitely been more wildebeest moving north into the area. So there is more prey. What's interesting is these guys decided to actually move away from the large herds of wildebeest, which are a little bit to the south of us. This is kind of just north of where the front runners of the migration are. And our patience paid off. Here they come. This is very beautiful. Hello, Liz. You'd like to know if I think these large coalitions of cheetah that are being documented are an evolutionary change or adaptation. I'm not entirely certain of that. And why are they looking more intent? And if you look at the cheetah in the middle, he is the one that has led all of the hunts. There's a topee there. Okay. Hold on, everyone. We need to get into a better position. Hold on to your handbags and your wallets and your shoes. They are heading straight towards the lone topee over here. And what I want to do is get into position where we're going to be able to allow Dave to be able to film the full hunt if it does in fact happen. It's always a bit of guesswork and lottery as to what's going to happen. But I'm going to decide to try and get onto kind of the other side of this topee and see what happens. I'm not sure if you guys agreed, their body language definitely changed, and the fact that they didn't come to that tree also had me wondering what was up. And because these animals move so quickly, I do not want to take any chances in not being in the right place to capture some what will possibly be crazy footage. Oof, this is going to be tricky. So we can't really see the cheetah from where we are. But we can see the topee, and that's who we've got to keep in our sights, because that is what the cheetah are keeping in their sights. It's just a bit of a dot in the center of your screen. Let's just stop here. I'm going to have a quick scan with my binocular machines to reassess where the cheetah are, because I've kind of lost track a bit. But yeah, we can't see the cheetah. You can definitely see what they're heading towards though. And what I'm doing is I'm looking at the tourists on the other vehicle to see where their heads are pointed, and all is still looking promising. I just want to get us onto a slightly bit more higher ground. The thing is with filming a cheetah hunt is you need to kind of think very far in advance, because they move so quickly. They can disappear out of view, they can run behind you, anything can happen. And on this kind of ridge, I'm worried that they may chase the topee out of sight. I think the topee may have seen them now. It's just turned and stopped and looked in their direction. It's not looking hugely distressed. Oh, it's so tricky to decide where to stop. Okay, I think I can see the head of a cheetah on the horizon to the right of the topee there. If you just pan a little bit to the right, was I imagining things? Zoom in a bit. Zoom in there. Here we go. Look at this. We have got ourselves into an epic spot. Now it'll be interesting to see who the front runner is. Like I said, the individual with the collar is usually the one that I've noticed leads the charge. Look at how incredible this view is. The topee has got no idea that these cheetah are making their way towards it. And unlike lion and leopard, they don't have to get nearly as close to their prey. They could unleash at any moment, but I'm guessing they're going to try and get as close as they can. As soon as it detects them, that is when they will start running, and so will it. So we can see three. If you just pan a little bit to the left, Darby, I just want to make sure the fifth cheetah is not to the left of that fourth one we can see. So we can see, did one cheetah just roll over there quite playfully? I think it did. So obviously one of them's not as focused as it needs to be. Just try and frame down a bit, Dav, if you can, because of the background. Davi, try and frame down a little bit because of the background there. Just frame those other things out of the shots. We're going to battle to do that. Okay. Now everyone, I'm just going to keep quiet and let the rest take course on its own, because no words can describe what we are about to see now. Don't look at us, buddy, you're looking the wrong way. I think I can start speaking again now because things have calmed down, but at any moment these cheetah could explode into full charge. It's difficult to gauge how far away they are at the moment, but I'm guessing they're kind of about 50 meters. They would ideally start chasing at around 30 or 40 meters, so they're not far off their kind of maximum range that they'll start chasing from, but they're being very clever because this animal's actually slowly feeding towards them. So rather than them giving away their presence by moving, if they just lie still, this topi could edge closer and closer towards them. What to do and where to go. I think we are good where we are here for now. Look at the cheetah's head poking over the termite mound to the right of it. Now, David, you don't think that 5 cheetah could bring down a topi? I can assure you they can, because they take down larger prey than topi, and that's fact. They've been seen taking down fully grown wildebeest. So don't be fooled by their slender frames and their slight build. They can and will wrestle down large prey, and that's certainly attributed to the fact that there are 5 of them. As far as I'm aware, there's one kind of ringleader with regards to latching onto the prey, and the other 4 come barreling in and help then subdue it. Whew. Now it's best to stay where we are, even though we're kind of at quite a distance from them. If they start running, they'll be past us in a heartbeat. So that's why we decided to rather stay as far as we possibly can. That way we'll also have the least impact on the sighting. And as you can see, or have seen, since everything has unfolded, we have had very, very little or no effect on these animals' behavior. And that is very important. We don't want to in any way alter Mother Nature's plans. We merely want to spectate. Well, our patience today has paid off. Already the excitement of what may or may not happen is worth it, but we may need to employ a little bit more patience. James, you've just asked if this dominant male cheetah within this coalition, who I think is the one with the collar, will enforce his dominance. I'm not sure with regards to what he would enforce his dominance. Are you saying at the meal? Would he kick the other ones out of a good spot? Yeah, okay, that is what you were wanting to know. And not that I've seen. They've been quite placid feeders. Oh, okay, now anything could happen now because he's stopped and he's looking very intently where that one cheetah was. And once he realizes they're there and he starts running away, that will trigger them to chase him. And I've got a feeling maybe he just sensed something, but he's not too sure. Let's see if we can see the cheetah, Dave. Where they're still tucked behind these little mounds, doing a good job to conceal themselves. I don't want to run the risk of moving, because if they start chasing him and we're moving, we will miss everything. So I think we're just going to sit tight where we are here. And I'm confident that he will probably start running towards us. Judging that they're on the opposite side of him, he's going to want to get as much distance between himself and them as possible, and that will, I'm guessing, bring him in this direction. Now, even though we can't see much at the moment, I think it's definitely worth sticking around. In a blink of an eye, the chase, be it a failed or a successful one, could be over. So don't go anywhere. Cancel whatever plans you had, because you'll be some of very few to witness a live cheetah kill. What you should probably do is actually get a hold of some of your friends and tell them to tune in. Hello, John Michael. You would like to know how much bigger is a wildebeest than a topi? I would say on average a good 50 to 80 kilograms bigger, depending on whether it's a male or a female, of course. But they are considerably larger beasts than the topi. Kind of trying to get a little bit of extra height here. Sorry, that's why the camera's wobbling. To see what the boys are doing. They're just kind of lying flat in the grass. Now, it's not uncommon for predators to change tact. I've seen it a lot of times with leopard. A leopard will be in full stalk, and the next thing you know, it'll be sleeping with a herd of impala 20 meters away. So it seems like these cheetah may have adopted a similar kind of situation. I am just going to reposition ever so slightly quickly. Kobe, good to have you with us again. You would like to know, are topi fast? And yes, they are very quick, but not quicker than a cheetah. However, what they can do is they can rely on their ability to run from side to side and kind of jinx. And that way, the cheetah can go streaming past them and then have to realign their course of hunting. So there we go, that's a good shot there. You got them there, Dav, just straight behind him. Yeah. If you just zoom straight in, you'll get all of them there. Okay, so now you've got a much better idea of where 3 of the cheetah are. They're just lying in the grass behind him there. He, I think, has smelt some kind of a rat, but not sure what exactly it is that he's seen, but he can feel something's kind of up. The wind is in the cheetah's favor. The wind is blowing from left to right, so there's no chance that he would have smelt them. But he may have just seen those bumps and thought, oh, those look a little bit strange. So there's 3 that we can see there. The fourth and the fifth, I'm not too sure. I know the one is further off to the right of it, so I can see the fourth one. But the fifth one is unaccounted for. Interesting. The fourth, on the further, there's the, that's the fourth and the fifth there. Yeah, there's one on the right in the terminal and then one to the left. So that's it, all five of them poised and ready. And I'm almost certain that it'll be the collared male, which looks like it's the one on the far left, that will spearhead the chase, and the rest will follow on afterwards. Nguyen, good to have you with us. You would like to know, why is this topi all on its own? And he's just probably an old boy who's tired of running around after ladies and dealing with young adolescent men and happy to live a life on his own. It's not uncommon to see topi especially on their own. I think they just like having some peace and quiet when they get a bit older. And the same goes for wildebeest. You also get lone male wildebeest. Sometimes they join up into small herds, but it's not uncommon to get certain species like this who are not afraid to be loners, and the topi is certainly one of them. Often iconic scenes from the Masai Mara of these topi perched up on termite mounds with space and grass all around them and no other animals in sight. Brian, good question. You wondering whether it's probably not the wisest time to be hunting with all the other apex predators in this area coming to life, like lion and hyena. They are definitely more active in the evening into the night. And yes, it is. But wherever they hunt, they kind of run the risk of losing their prey to either lion, leopard, or hyena. There are so many of all those species in this area that at any point, at any time, whatever kill they make could be stolen. So probably not ideal. I guess the middle of the day would be their most likely time not to create a stir. But then again, it's the hottest time of the day. So, ooh, bit of movements. And there's an important lesson for all of us to learn here, and it's a very simple one, and that is that if you do not run away from these animals, they very often do not chase you. So they need that flight of their prey to trigger that instinctual desire to chase them down. And it's at that moment when this topi realizes what's in front of it and he turns on his heels that they will hammer down after him. Oh! Now this warthog is going to possibly come and chase these cheetah. I've seen it happen the other day with these 5 males, and warthog can be very, very, very cheeky and brave. So who knows? Now, these cheetah would have done the maths. They know how quickly these topi can run, and possibly just think they don't have quite a close enough starting point to be able to catch up to this guy, or they may just feel it's not going to be an efficient use of their energy. I'm thinking of possibly repositioning again, ever so slightly. So bear with me, everyone. Okay, we're going to shoot you across to James. Actually, no, I don't think it's worth running the risk. You can just stay with us. We thought about shooting you off to a river cam for a quick view of what's happening there, but if something were to happen now, I would feel like we've made a terrible decision. Okay. So you can still see the cheetah all just dotting out there. Some look like they're fast asleep, others look a little bit more focused. I mean, they could possibly be waiting for dusk, for it to get a little bit darker, a little bit trickier for this topi to know what it's dealing with. We have seen them bring down a kill in kind of the early morning dawn twilight when it was still not light enough to use, or to not use our infrared camera. All 5 cheetah in shot now. Not 3 of them there, and then 2 further. Come on, boys, what are you thinking? Well, Machines just made quite a funny comment saying the cheetah are wondering whether it's going to be bacon or beef tonight. And interestingly, bacon is not a very easy resource to come by in these parts due to the fact that the owners of the bacon are, like I said, quite brave, and they actually stand up to quite large prey. Warthogs are one of the most bold animals I've seen considering their size, and female warthog will chase after leopard if a leopard grabs their young. They've even been known to stand up to lion. And like I said, just a few days ago, a warthog came running up to these 5 cheetah and kind of like mock charged them. The cheetah actually got a fright and ran off. So even though cheetah certainly do hunt warthog, I think when there's so much easier, abundant prey that's less dangerous, they prefer to stick to the beef option. Well, how fascinating is this? I really thought something would have unfolded by now. But then again, like I said a little bit earlier, the cheetah is the one big cat that I've spent the least time with in my career as a safari guide. Most places I've worked have had very few cheetah. So I'm loving the fact that together we are going to learn a lot about what these animals do. And this is a really, really interesting insight into their hunting methods. Topi must be wondering why it's so popular. There's a few vehicles, all very well positioned, I must say, way out of the way of the action, all eagerly anticipating what may go down. If the topi just lies down, then we'll have a full-on slumber party in the middle of the plains here. In between us and camps, so we're going to have quite an interesting journey home after this all unfolds. Our plan was to leave this area 25 minutes ago, but of course that was as soon as all this action started unfolding, so now we are forced to stay. How are you doing with the low light here, Dav, if things start... It's good. Okay. But in terms of the low light, yours all good this time. I was just checking in with Dave there, because the light is dwindling quickly, and when you're filming the fastest mammal on the planet, it can make things tricky if you don't have good light. But he says everything is as under control as it can be. Hello, Sandra. You would like to know if one of these males got injured in one way or another, whether the other males would bring it food. It's highly unlikely that it would survive if it was disabled to a point that it cannot walk. So they may kill food and they may allow it to hobble along and then eat it, having not contributed to the kill, but they are certainly not going to be taking takeaways back and forwards to a disabled cheetah elsewhere. So no, they will not do that, but they will certainly tolerate, and I'm fairly certain it's already happening with the 4 cheetah who don't seem to be as productive when it comes to the hunting. The lead guy does the majority of the work, and then he's happy to let the others all eat, because they do get protection and a lot of affection, I guess. They've got grown strong bonds with one another that allow each person to contribute to the coalition in their own way, I guess. Well, Di, another funny comment, thank you. You've just said, considering that these guys are the policemen of the bush, it's not seeming very alert. It could be that he's off shift, or it's just a phony, somebody dressed up in a police uniform, pretending. Surely, guys. What more do you want this topi to do? The thing is, it's not feeding towards them, it's feeding parallel to where they are. So it's not, I don't think it's getting huge, much closer to them. I guess they're possibly worried that they're clearly in its field of view now. Whereas before, maybe when it had its head down and it was facing the opposite way, it wasn't, or it wouldn't have been as easy for it to see them. Okay, we are going to send you across to some other epic action in the Mara.
Well, it's not that epic. We're just going to have a quick look, everybody. One zebra has made it across the river. His 2 friends are the other side. We'll just quickly see it. Oh, there is a crocodile waiting for them. And that's why I decided we should maybe come and have a look here. We will keep an eye on those topi. Here we go. Now we've got some serious action. Big crocodile, young zebra. What's going to happen here? It's made it. Other one's made it. Oh, how'd it go? Got him! No, kicked him off. Yo! Wow. Okay, well that was very exciting. That crocodile left the youngster, grabbed the big one on the back. There you are, you skullduggerous fellow. And because the zebra could stand, because it could kick off the ground, the crocodile, even with those clamping jaws, had absolutely no chance at all. Fantastic. Right, back to the cheetah. They're on the move.
Okay, now, it's Murphy's Law that as soon as you leave us, these guys did start up and started creeping after this topi, and I guess it's because it was walking directly away from them. So they all paced forward a few steps while it was facing directly in the opposite direction. Then as soon as it stopped and turned, they flattened themselves to the ground. So they're doing the best they can when it's not looking in their direction to sneak up a few yards on towards it. But you can see it's now moved off a fair distance from how much closer it was earlier. Let's stay on the cheetah, because I'm fairly certain they're going to get up and start following it again now. There they are. So I'll keep on an eye on the topi for you, but like I said, they are in all likelihood going to get up now and keep following it now that it's moving directly away from them. Sky, you would like to know how far the cheetah are away. At the moment, I would guess their distance away from this topi is about 100 meters, possibly even a little bit more. The closest it came to them was about 50 meters. It's tricky because as soon as Dave zooms out, the cheetah's camouflage is so good it's hard to know where exactly we left them tucked away in the grass. Come on, boys. What you waiting for? Interestingly, the one who I've got the most faith in is the furthest cheetah away. He's actually just out of frame to the left. That's him there. And he has been certainly dominant when it comes to chasing down the prey that we've seen them successfully catch. So now that things have calmed down here, if the excitement at the river crossing is still unfolding, it may be worth heading back there, because I feel like these boys have given us a bit of a tease, but a very, very enjoyable tease. Okay, well, the things seem to have calmed down at the crossing, so you'll be enjoying a beautiful sunset from there.
There we have a beautiful sunset from here, everybody, as predicted by Scott. Well done, Scott. The wildebeest I will show you shortly are leaving Main South again. Oh, isn't that lovely? See how good this camera really is. Gosh. Now, of course, Scott has got to get through that enormous cloud before he gets home. But, of course, these considerations should not worry me, as I am sitting high and dry in the migration control room. There we go. Now, before they totally disappear, let's quickly head across to Main North. There they are. Now, you see the wildebeest came all the way back. And that herd, in fact, that is standing there on the bank has halved in size in the last sort of, 5 minutes or so while you've been watching that rather enjoyable sort of scene playing out on the plains there with the cheetah. And they came all the way down. They looked like they might decide to cross again in the same place that they did yesterday. And then, well, they turned around and went away again. Stacey, you say, why do some herds migrate and some herds stay resident? Stacey, that is not a simple, it's a simple question with a very complicated answer, I think. First of all, I don't think that all wildebeest either belong to a sedentary or to a migratory herd. In other words, I think that you'll find that some of them remain all year sometimes and then migrate the next year. Some of them migrate 1 year and then not again the next year. So let me just say that. Some of them might become part of that loiter herd, if you like, that goes up to the north and migrates into this area at this time of the year from the north. Some of them, look, I think would be strange if some of them swapped between those two herds, but I think it's possible. But the answer is, Stacey, that they will go wherever there is food. Now, we know, here come a whole lot more down to the river. We know, of course, that many wildebeest on this continent, they're coming down to the river. Can you believe it? Many wildebeest on this continent do not ever cross rivers. They don't ever migrate. The ones in the Sabi sand, for example, are a very good example of those that don't move, which means that they are not by definition a migratory species. They can migrate, they will if they have to, but they don't necessarily need to. Now, what is going on here? Who has decided that this is a good idea? I cannot imagine. It was that chap right in front. He turned around, he thought, no ways, I've been dallying about, fannying about enough, now I'm going. Here we go. And the rest of them thought, oh, yes, let's go along too. Here we go. We're underway with the wildebeest crossing at Main North. And the picture's frozen. No, it's unfrozen. This is fantastic. Now, look, word is spreading amongst the herd. They've turned round and they're all coming back. Oh, no, the front chap seems to have lost his nerve. And therefore, all of them, no, they're just going to have a drink. You see, I don't think these things know what they're doing. And in much the same way as we have absolutely no idea truly what drives these things to cross the river, we have absolutely no idea, I believe, truly what drives them to migrate. Yes, of course, it's food and water that they need. But what makes them go where they go, we're just not sure. You know, we talk about the storms, we talk about the grass, we talk about all sorts of things like that, postulations, But the variables at play in a story like this are just myriad and often too difficult for us to actually understand or comprehend. No, decided no. That is very disappointing. Come on. You've made it some of the way. There go the yellow-billed storks. They've had enough of waiting for this lot to make up their minds. Having a drink. Don't see any crocs. Beth, you say, do migrating herds go to the same, I think it's the same migrating herds go to the same crossings each year. And I don't know. I think they probably do, but I think what you'll find is older ones go to where they know to cross and the younger ones follow, and by the time they get back to Tanzania, well, then they kind of know where the crossing points are. But I'm not sure if they all always go to the same place to cross the rivers. So, I mean, have these chaps crossed down south as well? I don't know. Come on, get in the water. Come on now. I've just had a feeling that this wasn't going to actually happen today. I feel like it's too late in the day, that it hasn't been a particularly warm day, and I think that does play a role. It said it wasn't a warm day yesterday either. I know, John Michael, you say, why is this large herd not attracting predators on this side of the river? John Michael, I can assure you it is. And I can assure you that there are lions around here thinking about eating all of these wildebeest. And, well, it's entirely possible that as darkness falls, they will sort of lay claim to one of them. But remember, we watched a lioness take one of them earlier today at this crossing. So it might be that the Paradise Pride is just too full of wildebeest to be worrying about it at this stage. There they are. Yeah, just endless prevarication, isn't there? The punters have all had to go home, unfortunately, for them. There you can see, oh no, there's still some of them there. Some, of course, have got big distances to travel and they must get out of the reserve or back into camp before the reserve closes. Let's go back to Main South if we can. There it is. That's the back of the cars, and the crossing point is just over the top there. So that's what's going on there. Complete peace on this part of the river. Very gentle scene going on. And we did, as you know, just watch a crossing at Cul-de-sac, a massive crossing of 3 zebra, and all of them made it. Now, Norm, you're wondering what animals we see up in the mountains and whether we see them on the mountain cam. Norm, we see all sorts up here. Topi, giraffe, zebra, wildebeest from time to time. Currently, I'm watching a person on the mountain cam walking from side to side. We see, of course, bergvecht weavers quite frequently, a number of other bird species. And what else do we get up here? We definitely get hippo and elephant up here from time to time. So we see all sorts up here on the mountain. Let's go back to the crossing, Main 2. There we are. Yeah, I think that this is not going to turn into a crossing. Still one or two of them having a prevarication, perhaps just seeking out a little bit of water. Well, they've got that, haven't they? I've certainly got some water. We'll just give them a few more minutes and see if they get into the water. If you're wondering what happened to Djuma, well, I know we were supposed to be joined about them. Technical glitches, I'm afraid, precluded us coming to you live from Djuma today, where, well, I don't know what they would have found. It was so nice to see the wintry landscape there from this morning. And hopefully next time they will be back. Oh, looking like maybe thinking about crossing. Now, Jimmy, this is a very good question, and I think is got an interesting answer. You say, would the herds stampede into the river were they to be chased by lions from behind? The answer, Jimmy, is no, I don't think they would. Unless there were 3 or 4 lions blocking every available exit route, then I think they would go for the river. Some might plunge into the river, but many would plunge in all they'd take off in all sorts of directions. Remember, one lioness causing a panic is, say, 1 degree out of 360 that they could run. And into the water is clearly dangerous for them. They know that. And I think even in a panic, they would possibly choose to run along the bank, back up the other way. And the interesting thing that I've watched the zebra doing when they've been harassed by the Agama pride is that they seem to turn uphill. It's almost like they don't want to run down. They know that they're much less stable running downhill, and so they turn up rather than down and then run. And of course, here we go. Because they're taller than lions, they have a longer stride and can possibly therefore run uphill faster. I don't know. I mean, that's just an observation of mine. Fascinating stuff. If you're wondering what's happened to Scott, he's left those cheetah. He's had to also, much like the punters here, get out of the reserve on time. And also, Brent Leo Smith has headed for home. I don't know where he is. He got rather wet, I'm afraid. We obviously have to watch the equipment and look after it very carefully because we have a television show to cater for very soon. Shall we have another look at the sunset, Rebecca, while we wait for Scott to arrive? There we are. You can see the sun has now, in fact, set, casting a lovely orange glow upon the river, wherein the hippopotamus make their peaceful grunt. And the gnu's, of course, at main 2 are going. Bow, 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 bow. Wild Bill, you said that you think they're waiting for what kind of a party? That may be to call Wildebeest Party of 2017. Well, let me play that game. Wildebeest Party of 2017 now. No, nothing. Wild Bill, you were wrong, I'm afraid. I'm sorry about that. We're still going to watch them, see what happens. And apparently we've lost Scott almost entirely, and so for the next 17 minutes we're going to be watching the crossings. Send through your questions, #Safari Live. Let's start a conversation, please. Right, I'm also just keeping an eye on all the other crossings to see for pretty scenes and interesting bits and pieces that might be going on. Unfortunately, some of the crossings seem to develop minds of their own, which is very distressing. Okay, now what I want to do is look at the bird that was over here. The yellow-billed stork lives completely unhurried or irritated by the migration, as far as I can tell. Now, I think this is a rather interesting place for a yellow-billed stork to be fishing in the rapids like this. I think it can't be easy. Obviously, they've got some form of grippy material on the bottom of their feet, which allows them to stand on these rocks, which you and I would certainly slip off, and certainly things like wildebeest and zebra slip off all the time, slicing their legs and potentially breaking their legs, but they don't seem to do that very often, which surprises me. I wonder if it wasn't behind that log that lioness was hiding earlier. Bree, you say, what would my strategy be for crossing the river? My strategy would be to go down to the Purangat Bridge and walk across it. That would be my one and only strategy. I have a very healthy fear of crocodiles. I know of 3, and I know 2 people who've been bitten by a crocodile, one of whom did not resurface, the other of whom, well, he's just got a bit missing from his leg. It's not actually too bad. It was nasty at the time, but he's okay now. And so I just, it would be difficult to pay me enough to get into the water here. There's a rather dreadful story in the Kruger Park of well, naturally booze had something to do with it, but there were some guys at the golf club at Kruger, which is just inside the Kruger Park. Very nice if you can play golf there. Don't do what these guys did. Had one too many at the 10th hole. There are only 9 holes on the golf course. And they decided they would go swimming in the dam one night after too many probably castle lagers, and one of them was eaten by a crocodile. So no matter where you think you are in Africa, unless you can see the bottom of the water body that you're going to get into, you must assume that there will be a crocodile. Obviously, this does not apply to the swimming pools and sort of the northern suburbs of Johannesburg. There are unlikely to be crocodiles in them there, but well, you just never know. Natalie, you want to know how strong the current is. I'm not sure how to give it to you in units, other than sort of very, not very, quite a lot. You know what I mean? I don't know how to measure the flow, but I will tell you it's stronger, I think, than it has been. Well, probably about as strong as it was yesterday, but not as strong, but much stronger than it was 2 days ago. And I think there's definitely been some rain up in the catchment area of the Mau Escarpment, some 250 miles away from the mouth of the river, which goes into Lake Victoria. So I think you'll find that it's maybe creating some consternation amongst these wildebeest, but we really don't know why they crossed, to be honest. Ah, right, now Rebecca would like to see Dusty crossing and the birds fluttering about the hippos. I think it's a very good idea. Oh, there's a hippo having a yawn for you. Frozen, no, not frozen anymore. And I love this crossing normally at this time of the day, but there's obviously a cloud sitting above it, which means that the water has not turned pink like it can sometimes at this angle. Which doesn't make it less attractive, but it's not quite as attractive. And you can see that this is a very wide section of the river, and very calm as a result of that. Not many rocks. But you can see the banks on the left there, very, very steep, and that's probably why the wildebeest don't cross there. Now, Mad Candy, you're wondering about whether the birds hatch all their eggs before the herds stampede around here. Mad Candy, I don't think that there's a huge number of, there's not a great deal of stampeding that goes on. It's a good question. I wonder if perhaps the lapwings don't perhaps have their youngsters earlier in the year to avoid having the wildebeest around and the chances of having them stomped on. But yeah, I wonder if there's ever been a study done about that. That's quite interesting. When I say they don't stampede, it doesn't, you know, often they're just walking gently in a line up towards the water, or they don't often come as a giant galloping throng of animals. It does happen from time to time, but it's not the norm. All right, I think let's go back to Main North. You can see they've jumped out of the water again. One fellow thinking about crossing. Now, a question from someone called The Nets Rack. The Nets Rack. You say if they decide to cross, will they stay so close to the water all night long? I think they'll move away. I think that the danger of lions and crocodiles are more easily avoided on the open grasses away from the water and in an area where they can run away much more effectively. Now, what I want to do, I'm just going to quickly scan from side to side. No. Let's go to main south, Rebecca, if we can. There, we've gone to main south. And there is the rest of that herd. It's the same herd. You can see them moving away from the water, possibly for the night. Now, the picture is going to get a bit grainy as we head towards darkness. But there they all are. And, oh, that's from Governor's Camp. They're going home now. They've got a long way to drive. Anyway, you can see the wind is also howling out there now as the sun has gone down. But this is where the bulk of the herd, I think, is going to spend the night. I think up on these plains. Jeepers, it's a lot of wildebeest, this. And I wonder if it's not the same group that was set upon during, well, probably at about 1 o'clock this afternoon by the Paradise Pride, one of the lionesses, and perhaps, you know, it's definitely made them run away from the river. And I wonder if this is not the same group who still have yet to cross the river. As far as I'm concerned, a very wise idea on their part. Plenty of grass there, you can see. Jeepers, look at this line. Diana, you're wondering about the Djuma type of wildebeest and if we ever get them here. Remember, this is the same species. It's a slightly different subspecies. This is called the white bearded gnu. The one we get at Djuma is just this plain old blue gnu. I think sometimes called the brindled gnu as well. And she possesses a huge group of animals. And so you don't find them here. No, this subspecies occurs up here. And down in southern Africa you have a different subspecies. Let's go back to the northern crossing. There we are. And you can see now they're all starting to dwindle up towards the hills as the light starts to fade. There we go. Beautiful. Now let's have one last look, I think, at the mountain cam. Ah, there is a person. Hello, good evening. And zebra. I think let's go to the zebra. That man thinks he's in private. He's not, of course. There's no privacy in a camp where you film live safaris. In fact, there's even a camera in the pantry. There must be. Mount we eat. Can we go to the pantry cam, or is that not possible? Apparently we can't. Apparently we can't go to live feed of the pantry cam. That's a pity. Now these zebra come up out of the valley floor during the night. They're all amongst our tents. You hear them grazing. They don't sleep much, interestingly. It's actually quite, I haven't thought about this. They don't sleep at night. They eat. They eat all night long outside our tents, and then maybe they go off down into the valley to snooze during the day. I'm not sure. But they come bungling up here. There is some topi behind the camp as well, quite often. Lots of giraffe often. And there, we'll just quickly look up into, or down into the valley. See if we can't spot the Agama pride, perhaps, on the hunt. There we can see two people coming up from Game Drive. They're from Agama Mara. Oh, goody. There's the nuclear family. No, there's elephants. No, they're not. Are they? No, they're elephants, yes. They're elephants, fantastic. And a tiny little baby there. Obviously getting it. Look, it's chasing its big brother. Big brother not happy with it. That's very cute. That's very sweet. The nuclear family I'm referring to is a bull, cow and calf buffalo who have issued life in the herd and have decided to raise their child alone on the slopes of the Olulolo escarpment. Now you can see the picture is getting a bit grainy. It's just because it's getting quite dark. Let's go across to Main North again. See how The wildebeest are disappearing. There they all go. Oh, what a nice question. From Lendy or Wendy? Glendy. Golf Glendy. Right, Glendy, I'll tell you what, I'm rather sick and tired of these pictures here. So what I'm going to do is show you a map in the studio. Just give me 1 second to set it up, Rebecca. Just a few seconds, Rebecca. Otherwise, the lighting will be dreadful. It'll probably be dreadful anyway because I'm filming it. All right. Wait. We have a few minutes left, so I can just quickly do this. All right, now there's something in the top of the frame. What is it? Oh, there we go. Okay. Rebecca, do not laugh at me. You will be in trouble. All right, there is the map. Now, Glendy, am I in the picture? Oh, wait, hang on. Let me do that, then I can see myself. Okay. Right, I am in the picture, sort of. Right. Okay, everybody. Glendy, this is a really important question you've asked. You say, was it always like this? What was the question again? You said, has disease ever played a major part in it? This area here used to be covered in Maasai and cattle and goats, and before the Maasai it was covered in their ancestors before they were even Maasai, and before that, well, millions of years ago, it was probably covered in the same number of animals that we have here. This is the Serengeti Mara ecosystem, and I know you can't really see the Mara bit of it, but it is up top there. There, you can see it now. And well, what we have here is a situation where in the 1890s, what happened was the Italians, who felt that they were missing out on the colonial sort of grab in Italy, thought, well, we'll have Ethiopia or Syria at the time, and they landed in Ethiopia bearing with them cattle that had a disease called the rinderpest. That cattle disease, for which the local cattle and wildlife had absolutely no resistance, swept through this area all the way down into southern Africa, through the Kruger National Park, and it wiped out every single Maasai cattle that was. And at a stroke, the Maasai of this area ceased to become pastoralists, and they had to become beggars and workers and whatever else they became in order to survive. It also wiped out many wild animal populations, but not quite as badly as it did the cattle. And what that did was to clear this area of wildebeest, at least of cattle and Maasai. And when that happened, what happened was the wildlife population slowly began to come into the area, because without the cattle and without the people, the woodlands, I'm just having to lean like this so that I don't look quite so awkward. This probably looks worse. The woodlands started to come back, especially down in the south here and in this region here, the Serengeti. The woodlands came back, and those woodlands provided ideal habitat for the tsetse fly, which had been excluded from this area for a very long time. That in turn excluded the Maasai from coming back and excluded their cattle because it made them sick, and so the wildlife population started to recover. And then obviously, you can see it's not a very heavily wooded area now, and there are very few tsetse flies in this region here. There are lots of tsetse flies around this particular area here. But the elephants came in and they opened it up again. They are a keystone species in this area. They were left unfettered. They returned after the excesses of the hunting that took place here in the 1800s. They cleared a lot of the wood. They opened up the grasslands. I mean, it's complete grassland down here. There is woodland over here, and over here we have this kind of mixed savanna. And so it provided the ideal habitat, and the wildebeest population recovered to its current levels, I think, around about 1970. And it's remained so pretty much steady since then. So disease has played a major, major role in this ecosystem. Let's go back to a crossing. There we go. We're at Main North now. I apologize for that rather appalling selfie work, but you know, sometimes there's just nothing you can do. You can see the wildebeest have now moved away entirely. Bible Boy, you were being very rude and wondering why it was that that picture was so dark. It was so dark because I'm afraid I did it on the fly, and therefore I didn't lift the gain on the camera, and that's why it was dark. I apologize for that bubble boy. Highly critical person. And many of you apparently are new viewers today. Oh, there we go. I've just brightened the picture. That's quite nice. There we go. Many of you are new viewers. Thank you very much for joining us. Please do stick with us. I know that obviously this is, well, shall we say, a technically difficult drive. It's not normally like this at all. And so please do join us again tomorrow and forthwith every single day. Thank you very much for joining us on this technically trying but rather exciting drive. We've had zebra crossing, we've had cheetah attacking, chasing topi, a really beautiful rainstorm and some excellent scenery indeed. So thanks very much for coming along on the ride. Thank you for your questions and comments, and we will of course be seeing you tomorrow. Same time, same place, 7:30 East African time, 6:30 African time. Until then, bye-bye.